Hi, everybody. I want to talk about today the placement of the voice. It's a word they used to use. Where does your voice resonate? A lot of singers sing up here. A lot of singers sing down in the abdomen. But the result is always a raccolto, they call it in Italian, a collection of resonance that happens right up here someplace, and we have to find out what is the best placement for your voice. Not always easy. There are a lot of possibilities, and we can't exactly ask Enrico Caruso what he thought his placement was, right? All we can do is listen to these great singers. But now, let's talk about it for a minute. Let's say I sing breathy. Unforgettable. Well, I don't have any placement at all? No, there's nothing. So let's find out what we have to do to get the voice to respond. So I'm going to start off with, first of all, breath stops, which we've done before. But you'll find out that each breath stop places the voice slightly differently, right? If I go, pa, wah, so some things are forbidden, absolutely. Nasality is one of them. If you pinch your nose and your voice responds somehow to that and is changed somehow to that, like, it's obviously wrong. And a lot of people think that the nose helps you penetrate the big orchestral sound, and they love to use the word focus. Well, you tell me, does this thing work better because I make a big sound back here and then focus it through that little hole? Or does it work better this way? Somebody said the true mouth of a singer is the pharynx. It's not that shape. It's sitting here in the back of your neck. So let's try that as a breath stop and see how it places the voice. Pa, not my nose. So what do you think? If I do the breath stops without moving the paper, you can use a candle flame too if you want to. You can also use toilet paper because you can hang it over your head and you don't have to do what I'm doing, which is hold it up in the air like this. It's funny when I teach, I usually use this. But if I were warming up to sing or something tonight, I'd be using the toilet paper. You just get it down there if you need to, tear a little hole. I get a little claustrophobic, so tear a little hole so you can see out. But the idea is that the paper should not move, period. If I go, pa, the paper moves like mad. So if I sing anyway, pa, my voice is in my nose. It's interesting to think, isn't it, that something about breath and breathing would put your voice in the nose and make it nasal? Don't you think that's sort of weird? See? All right, so let's find out. I'm going to stop this leaking breath. I'm going to get so I sing without the paper moving. To quote Angelina Patti, don't sing breathy, right? So here we go. Ready? Here we go. Back of the neck. Pa. All right, what's the place in my voice? As opposed to the lips, remember? Pa. Richard Tugger was the best Verdi tenor I ever heard, and he stopped his breath on his upper lip. Pa. In other words, you stop it here. What does it do? How do I know it stopped? Well, I've got this little friend right here called tissue paper. It's my best friend. It doesn't lie to me ever. It'll tell me if I'm leaking or if I'm not leaking. And if I'm leaking, I'm in trouble because it's only it may not be very long until you have nodules or something on your vocal cords. So these people that are singing with a leaking breath through the voice, right, are taught, keep the flow of the breath going. Well, it wrecks the voice. Wrecks the voice. People, you don't know this stuff unless you've sung for years and years and years and years. Great big operas over great big orchestras and great big theaters with success. So the public and the critics like you because you're doing something right. Your best friends are sitting in the back saying, "Oh, I couldn't hear you on that one." Oh, anyway, So let's go through these breath stops a little bit. So we have this first one on the lips. Pa, pa, e, o. None of them leak. Now I'm going to bypass my lips and go to the back of my neck. Ready? Here we go. Pa, it's not leaking. See? All right, let's go now to Richard Tucker. Upper lip breath stop. Ready? Here we go. Pa, works just fine. Carries like a rocket. No problem. Penetration. And you use the muscles in your belly and your rib cage, so you need to get at least a little bit in shape. I'm 87. I just had a birthday. And I find the muscles aren't there anymore. Where are they? That's good. Anyway, what we're after is an idea of placement of the voice. You'll notice that this one, that all of them place my voice forward, but one of them is but they all place my voice in a place that will go over a big orchestra in a big theater with not any problem. All right, so the next one would be, now let's drop it down. We did this, so let's drop it down to, let's say, the larynx. If I'm singing on my larynx, again, it's a glottal stroke in the front of the throat, really in the front of the larynx, and the sound can fool somebody. Absolutely by nose. And remember, that sound doesn't carry worth a darn. If they hear you, it'll be a little thin sound. We need what the Italians call chiaroscuro, clear dark. We want a clear metallic sound, but we want it to have a nice mellow roundness to it of some kind. And that's usually breathing. So now at some point we'll try to get into deep breathing with all of this, right? You sure don't want to be shallow. All right, so I'm gonna now get behind this glottal stroke. It's in the front of my throat, and frankly, it'll damage your voice over not too long a time if you do it. So I go, ah, ah, ah. Now I'm going to go behind it. Listen. Ah, 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 ah. What's the place of my voice, and do you like it? Someone says, oh, I can't stand this. Too dark. Oh, it's too bright. Now start bright enough. And no, it's not dark enough. It's not dark enough. Oh, okay. I thought you said, who said what? So, Richard Tucker said, don't listen to anybody. Just learn the techniques from great singers if you can, and just practice them all the time and get up and sing. And let yourself make the choices that you will make. And don't take, literally, an advisor should have been somebody that sung, as Richard Tucker, keep quoting him, he said, they got to sung at least 50 major roles with 50 major orchestras and 50 major theaters and been reviewed at least 50 times for what they're doing. And then they have to sing without getting tired, without the voice. You might have to sing tomorrow night, rehearse all day. So the voice must never get tired. We'll do that too. All right, so then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do this, what's called the sternal notch. It's that hole right there in the bottom of the throat. See that? All right. That was Mario Delmonico, who had the biggest male voice in the world when he was active. And how do you sing? So I go, pa, pa. Where's my placement? Remember? So you will decide, you do all these vocalises constantly, and gradually your voice will you and your voice will come together, and you will begin to enjoy one more than the other, feel more secure. I mean, let's say you got to go out and take the notes. Let's say you got a great sound with one of them, but you can't get your high C. Well, then you got to do another one that doesn't maybe sound as good, but gives you your high C. So these choices are made all the time. All right, so you heard Delmonico. Now let's do a much more traditional one, which is right in the center of the chest. Tetrazzini said, take a deep breath, The first drop of air goes down in the lower rear quadrant of your lungs. You fill up your lungs from the bottom to the top. Then you lean the air column over against your chest the way you would lean a ladder against a wall. See? The greatest of the bel canto baritones, and some people think Caruso thought he had the greatest voice he ever heard, was a man named Mattia Battistini. And he was the superstar baritone in the Tsar's private opera in St. Petersburg, Russia. So he had a huge career, sang till he was 78 years old. They had a vocal problem. They asked him, "How do you sing?" And he said, "I press my chest." Well, is press a word that we would normally use? Pavarotti said, "Push, pull, like a here, pull, like a baby here. Push, push, push." I asked him, "Did you mean push, spinge?" He said, "No, no, I made a mistake with the word. Come si dice appoggiare? I said, lean. Lean. But it's really, I don't know what we use. We'll just use the word breast up. That was Lily Lehman's term, and it seems to make a lot of sense. So if I'm breathing in, and I want this to stop, what's this? Here we go. Well, you'll see the paper stop. You notice the paper's not leaking more, and guess where I did it? Right here. I went like this. So I go, if I do a noise, you can hear it. So some singers actually use noise when they warm up. Well, Corelli was one. Jerome Hines. There were any number of singers that used to roar and snore and God knows what. But the idea, you must know what it's doing. If I take a breath and I go, I stopped it right there. If I do that, I get, now, what about that placement I was talking about? Remember? Where's my resonance when I do that? It's not just exclusively a baritone way. Tetrasini did it, and she was a coloratura soprano. So if you sing with your breath up right in the center of your sternum, it's very traditional, very old school Italian, and you can certainly sing that way if you want to. Now, some singers drop it down a little lower and put it there in the first soft spot, and they have a gas frame, really. So I go, pa, now, you gotta, I'm choking myself. Now, where is my placement compared to all these others? As Richard Tucker, which one shall I do? All the great singers are giving me a different one. Every time I sing for somebody, they give me a different breath stop. And Tucker said, I said, and including you gave me one also. And he said, look, we don't know right now where you are and at your age, and you're a young tenor, and we don't know. And so what you do is you do them all. And after a while, they come together, and I'll guarantee you that you will need all of them probably at some point. You know, anybody that thinks they can just have one technique and get through a professional career just has no idea. They don't know what they're talking about. Most of the teachers have no technique. They have something, they teach things like the ski slope. Everything about it's wrong. The vowel is distorted, the throat's tight, it goes in the nose. But, I can sing that way. So the question is, if you're a teacher, you got kids studying with you, they've got to get up and sing their recitals to get a degree. But nobody says that they sing correctly. It's in the Caruso book. Never sing into the nasal cavity. It's that simple. In those days, it was absolutely forbidden. Nobody sang nasal cavity. So how am I doing? If I'm doing this one, I stop my breath right there, and now I've got, how many have I got so far? Think about it. See? So all of them work, and all of them are good, and I can probably give you the reference to where I got it, because I certainly didn't make them up, and I got them from great singers. Now, there is a way of analyzing. I made a video recently about the babies crying, because babies don't cry the way we do. They don't do up there like that, cry that way. They cry here. and it sounds like they're coughing. If I laugh, I go, ah, 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 ah. Where is that? Ah, 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 ah. If you can figure out what that baby is doing, I weigh 220 pounds, right? I'm 6 feet tall, so if I could sing like a baby, my voice would be proportionately as big as a baby's in the theater, which means I'd just be the biggest voice in the world. So you can guess how Delmonico leaned his breath. And another one was Birgit Nielsen. They're really big voices, the ones that I sang with. I even sang with Delmonico. I sang a small part in Othello with him. And but I was singing these parts in the German operas that were more lyric for me. The girls with the monster voices were singing Kundry or something in Parsifal, and I would be singing the Parsifal. So it's not so huge. I never sang Tristan or Tannhäuser or either one of the Siegfrieds. And one is in the opera Siegfried, one is the opera Götterdämmerung, and you just stay away from those four, right? Anyway, we have to know where these things happen and where is the placement. You understand, I started talking about placement of the voice and placement of the resonant. Now what are we into? We're into placement of the breath stop, which causes a placement of the voice. And the voice becomes reactive, not active. You never do something up here. Oh, never do anything with the throat. So singers are opening their jaws like this. Let's say you have diction. Let's say you want to say L. Say la. Do you do this? La, 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 la. Is that the way I'm supposed to sing? Why can't I go la, 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 la. There was a famous dramatic tenor at La Scala during the Second World War years, before the war, during the war, and after the war. And he sang the biggest roles in the Italian repertoire, also mainly Othello, which is the biggest role, most dramatic role in the Italian repertoire. And he wrote a book about how he sang. Where was his breath stop? Now think about it. His breath stop was in midair. He would take this breath and go, pa, and then he would stop it right there. Pa, see? That's the way he sang. Everything is right here. Always was stopped in midair, right between the corners of the mouth and the upper and lower teeth. That brings up another, there are a lot of little things to do, but you should be covering all your teeth. Caruso said, never show your teeth when you sing. So that means don't be nasal and don't show your teeth. If I sing like this, my tongue covers my lower teeth because I'm doing what Caruso does in the photo, where he protrudes the lower lip a little bit with his tongue like this, all the way across from corner to corner, and then he pulls the upper lip down and to cover his upper teeth and sings like this. What's the placement of that one? What's the placement of the voice? And which lean did I end up using? Now, just to show you, I'll show you my teeth. La 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 la. That ugly sound is done with the phonation of the vowel. I went from ah to ah, but it's not in my nose. So we mustn't be deceived by something that sounds nasal. Babies go, ah, and it sounds like it's in the nose until you pinch their noses and you realize the voice is sitting up here the whole time. So all this is very confusing unless you have someone that's what they're doing and they can direct you to do all this. I want you just take these exercises and do them. You don't need to understand why. Just do them. That's all. That's what I ended up doing, and I'm 87. I still sing all day, every day, so it must be something right about it. I do, but I was saying the way I'm demonstrating here, I hope, I usually pick up, breath up and I go with it. All right, so the next one would be on the navel. Now, the navel, well, I put my hand right there, and I don't push it out, but it jumps out sometimes as a reaction. Pa, pa, shove it out. Pa, and I'm going to stop it. Pa, 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 now it moves up like this. So the whole action that's happening down here is totally reactive to this way of using the breath. So I'm going to stop my breath on my navel. I'm going to breathe. Always breathe behind you. Always breathe down into your lower back, in your buttocks. My old teacher, Olga Reese, said, "What are for buttocks?" I said, "Sit down on." She said, No. To breathe into, like big weather balloons. That's Joan Sutherland in a master class. How do you breathe? She said, "Well, I don't know if I shall say this in public or not, but I breathe up my rectum." The idea is people are breathing as low as they can. Kirsten Flogstad said she felt like her voice came from the center of the earth. Right? Rosa Bonzell said to go deeper and then go deeper again. See? So the idea is to breathe down and then to get the breath. You can't make a sound with that breath. You got to stop it somewhere or it'll overload it. So I go, ah, ah, and now I'm on my navel and I'm going, what they call a miniature cough. I'm right on my navel, right? And Pavarotti in the master class at Juilliard in New York said, "It's here like a baby, push, push, push." Well, I asked him after, I said, "You mean push? Pingere?" No, I made a mistake with the word, he said. No. Come to dice, appoggio. I said, lean. He said, lean. So you lean the breath, like Tetrasini said, I told you a while ago, which is like a ladder leaning up against the wall. But I'm going to do it here. I'm leaning my breath against that navel, or I do this, either one. At the navel, fake navel, pa, what's the placement? We just got the placement of the breath. Where's the placement of the voice in? If I aim for that placement, it's very unreliable. You realize I can move this and get close to it and get close to it. One of the famous exercises to demonstrate is to pull your head back like this and pull the hands forward and the head back. You get, and the muscles in your neck, in the back of the neck tense, but it makes all the ones in the front let go completely. So if you can sing like that, it's actually, these muscles get stronger and don't affect the voice at all. And these get looser and looser. You don't need them. Now, if I do that up here in the back of my head, I get, but what if I do the same pull, but I do it down lower? Let's say I pull it on my number 7 vertebra right there. Ready? Here we go. All right, now that's pulling the head back and using a posture to cause a reaction in my throat. One of them is more, let's say, brighter, clearer, more lyric. One of them gets so bombastic on the digger, and believe me, I've used them all. I would do operas like Flying Dutchman and Parsifal, Lohengrin, Meistersinger from Nuremberg, things like that. And Freischütz, I sang Freischütz a lot, and I didn't like it, but I sang a lot. And it's all middle voice, and it's very dramatic sometimes, and you need a bigger space. See? Then I'll go say right there, and you go, oh, now what if I pull my head back and go, oh, so it's very dramatic. If I did it, oh, you're a young Helden tenor. No, it was a lyric tenor that was bluffing the heck out of everybody. Well, I learned all these from great singers. I didn't make any of them up. So because it was a great singer that would teach you something like that, you knew it worked and you knew it was reliable and knew that you didn't get vocal cord damage. And damage is just awful. Corelli had a great, fantastic career, 25 years, a great singer. singing behind the glottal stroke. And then he was learning Otello, of all things, which is very dramatic. And he hit a note and blew his voice out and damaged a nerve and lost his voice. Lost his upper voice completely, which is, for a tenor, that's it. All right, so let's go on down now. We did the navel. Remember the navel? That's the navel. Is the sternal notch. I can go pa, pa. Wherever I stop my breath, I can sing, and it changes the sound and the placement, not only of the breath, but the placement of the resonance. Sometimes people pick a place, like right here. If I go, that's in my nose. I can't use this one. What I can do is go over it. It's a great line. I'm very aware of hum. So I can go over that and get my resonance located up here out of my nasal cavity. And then I simply don't let the emission of the breath change. Whatever I get to that, when I go, my whole body is working under that. But those are reactions. I'm not pushing, I'm not squeezing, I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is placing the voice. And I have some method for doing that, right? And then I go down. Let's say now I'm going to go down in my abdomen, right in the center of my abdomen. I go, pa, pa, no, where's my voice now? You can understand every word I'm saying. And I'm saying it right in the center of my abdomen. That means I'm going, there are some great singers who use what they call the sigh method, S-I-G-H, sigh. And the most famous one was Tito Schipa. Beniamino Gigli, who was the greatest singer in the world at the time, said, we must all bow down to the art of Tito Schipa. But it's interesting that Caruso had already discovered it or found it or something, because in his book he describes what he calls, you pull the abdomen in to take a breath, and you fill up your lower back, and that's every time you inhale, your abdomen goes in. Like a baby about to cry, not like a sleeping baby. You know, if they're asleep, it reverses. It goes out when they're breathing, goes in when they exhale. But when they cry and laugh and stuff, it goes in right before they cry, and it goes out when they cry. So we have to do that. Let's jerk it in. Lily Lehman said, use a breath jerk. Jerk the abdomen an instant before you breathe. So go. There it is. And now what am I going to do? See? Where did I place my voice? That's all. If I do all these breathing things, and that is the whole part of the sigh is to go, and drop the breath on that spot in the abdomen. If I do that, let's say I'll do a happy sigh. A sad sigh. Down in my nose, and they're in the same placement, whether I'm happy or sad. So that sighing colors my expression, my voice, but it does not change my voice. Very reliable technique. And if you're doing something like Queen of Spades or Meistersinger, tenor part of Don Carlo of Verdi, I did the French version of Carlo. It's 5.5 hours long. Meistersinger is 5.5 hours long, and you sing the first note and almost the last note. You're big artists at the end of this opera. And, I did Queen of Spades by Tchaikovsky, which is a monster role with a madman racing around throwing things and going crazy. Very strenuous physically. But if you find one of these ways to take this sigh method especially, why would I don't want to get exhausted, so I'm going to sing, I'm going to sing something like that. Meistersinger. Morgenlicht leuchtet im rosigen Schein. Now what am I doing? Von Blüt und Duft geschwellt die Luft von allen Ohren, nie ersonnen, ein Garten lud mich ein, dort unter einem Wunderbaum von Früchtenreich behangen. And that sound will go over the 130-piece orchestra in a 5,500-seat theater without any problem at all. I haven't sung that for a while, and I might get it out. I love that thing. It's beautiful. But if I'm going to go, ba, 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 there's another possibility. When I say, it closes my nose. If I say M, I go, ma, 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 ma. So I don't want to sing an M or N or NG because they open my nose. No, no, not a one, none of that. No. See? So you want to close the nose, and as long as you do it deliberately, it sounds a little weird if you think about it. But in a performance, funnily enough, people hear the words that you're supposed to be saying. Let's say I've got a bunch of M's. Ma, 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 mango, mango, mama, 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 I must mount the mountain. Well, how am I going to sing that? So I don't sing those M's. Nobody's going to hear them. If I do, they'll be down my nose and they don't carry. So I go, ba, 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 I must mount the mountain, 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 ba, 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 ba. Everybody hears mama and mountain. All right, go ahead, make fun of me, but Caruso did it. I figure I can do it too. In Manosco by Puccini, he's got a line where she supposedly answers and tells him her name. It's Mano Lesco mi chiamo. Ma, no, Lesco mi chiamo. So I've got all those nasal lines. What do I do? So I said, well, what did Caruso do? So I listened to her again. He goes, Mano Lesco mi chiamo. Mi chiamo? What language is that? Who cares? The voice was fantastic, right? And the people, by that time, most people know the opera anyway. But even so, you still understand Mano Lesco mi chiamo. You don't have to say mama. When I was a little boy, my mama always told me, way, haul away, oh, haul away, Joe, that if I never kissed the gals, my lips would grow unmoldy. Way, haul away, oh, haul away, Joe. So, is any word you didn't understand? What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Hey, hey, up she rises, hey. I used to know all the sea shanties. They're such fun. But anyway, my point is that you close your nose and the voice carries like a rocket. It'll cover any orchestra in the world and any theater in the world. Bob. Can you do that? Anyway, this just sort of gives you sort of an intro, and we'll do more as we go along, okay? And always let me know if there's something specific that I listen, I'm a tenor. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm 87. But most tenors lose their voices and have trouble. I never had any trouble, but I didn't do what everybody says to do. I never sang in my nose. I stayed out of there. I took the advice I was in the Metropolitan Opera School for 5 years, 68 to 73, 1968 to 1973. And all the great singers in the world were walking through New York or walking through the Met, you know. And I was picking their brains all the time. How do you do that? How do you sing? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you breathe? Right? And a lot of them were very nice and would really talk to the young singers. I wasn't alone. Shirley Verrett was there, and Justino Diaz's good crop. You had to win them at auditions to get in the school. And part of the prize was you got to go to school and get coaching and all that stuff. All these people, see? Didn't have to pay for it. So, but how do I go? See, the B, if I say B, it automatically closes my nose and kicks my voice up here. See? Butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. What am I doing? It's sitting right up there, and you can be dramatic without having to blow your brains out. See? And I didn't sing too much really, truly dramatic music. I sang a lot of in-between stuff. Okay, so we'll stop now. We'll see what you think of it, okay? Bye.